Good evening, honored guests, and welcome to a most refined engagement. A simple weekend at a manor estate. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, I don't know. How about murder by murder? Hi everyone, my name is Philip, and I'm the parlor master of this game, which is the name that has stuck because I haven't come up with a new term for the GM of this system. Joining me are my esteemed guests, longtime friends, the players. But are they all what they appear to be? Or could one of them be what they don't appear to be?
Did you insta reject Murder Master?
Murder Master is fucking funny. Murder Master?
Murder Maestro.
I never thought of Murder Master.
Artsy about it.
Okay, I just assumed it was.
Oh my god, Murder Master would be funny. Well, yeah, so we have a kind of a, so this is a, for anyone who didn't join us last week, for our sort of session 0, it's a slightly different kind of game. This is an RPG, it is an RPG of my own devising, so hopefully, it doesn't fall apart. I'll phrase it like this. I hope if it falls apart, it's at least towards the end of a session, so I can do some rearranging off screen if necessary.
So you can prepare for next session.
This
Or
is also one that I was.
In a funny way.
I actually was just saying this to them or starting to say this to them off stream, and then I said I'll just say it to everyone. You know, these kinds of murder mysteries are often very intricate and have a lot of little parts, and so I've got a lot of clues and sort of discoveries and things lined up here, but I think Lord Reginald was just talking about how he's excited for, you know, everything to go off the rails and these players to start killing people just willy-nilly and then just to sort of devolve. So
Let's get end of the TPK, isn't it? No combat, we somehow TPK.
Somehow TPK.
It's just Hamlet. It's just Shakespeare. Everybody dies.
Everyone just yeah. So so there'll be some sort of interesting things, and that kind of does bring up an interesting point, which is this is a I've never played an RPG like this. There's no magic. There's no the rules are it's a very rules light system. All you have to do is roll a 5, and you have a variety of dice based on sort of what you're good or bad at. We're just in 1930s England. It's a super grounded Agatha Christie style thing. At least that's what I'm saying so far. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. I will say I would like for the players to make particular use of a couple of things. One is you should be contacting me, whether it's via text or if you want to play with fire, you can send me private chats here in Zoom. But you know, understanding occasionally that might be seen by everyone in Zoom, and that would be a real rough. So, but the other thing is I want to say that there may be times where I'm going to actually be, like, informing people of such stuff, and I want to give you guys a full poker face situation, which is when I will ask all 5 players to deactivate their cameras. So that not only can no one on Twitch possibly see your reactions or see which one of you is texting me back in a specific moment, rather, you can't see each other either. So there may be some circumstances in which that happens, just so you all know. We are, with that, we're kind of going to, I think, kind of get into this game here. I took had to take a few liberties with some things. I'm also going to tell you guys, I really regret rolling for how many children this individual had, because I had to have 4 kids. So, like, you see how many rooms this place has, because there's so many damn kids.
It wouldn't have to be all.
You didn't have to do any of that. You literally brought that upon yourself.
I know, and I'm saying
you would have done it anyway. Let's face it, you would have done it anyway.
But that's the thing. Outside of that, I have not been rolling for this stuff. I've been sort of being a little more, like, deliberate in my choices. So if you guys are ready, I think we will begin. And the very first thing we need to do is set the scene We will not be introducing the characters kind of all at the beginning. We will introduce you as you sort of arrive. But the scene is we are in the early 1930s. Exact year not yet determined because, well,
it's easier that way.
It's a little easier that way, and I'll make a call. I'll be like, okay, we're doing that, so it's 32. But it's the early 1930s, and on the south coast of Devon, which is in oh yeah, I genuinely didn't think of that one time, by the way. That was one of Mario's previous characters' names. On the south coast of Devon, which is in sort of southwestern England, kind of not quite so far west as Cornwall, there is an island about 15 miles off the coast. It is called Gin Island. It is
Gin
only
as
accessible.
in the alcoholic beverage, or gin as in the genie?
Gin as in
G-I-N.
yes, G-I-N. Whether or not it's named after that beverage, we'll get to later. Guys, don't. I beg of you, please don't look too much into my etymology until like chapter 3 at least.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
As you no, it's all good. Yes, to Gin Island, off the south coast of Devon, about 15 miles. So it's a pretty remote spot. It can take a while depending on what boats are available to take you there. There's a small island. There is a small village on this island, but the island is mainly known for a manor house that was built about 100 years ago or so. It is called Corse Court, named after the family who built it. And each of you has been invited to Corse Court for the weekend. Not all of you know the current Marquess of, which, by the way, it's not Marquess, it's Marquis, according to the British. They also say turquoise, so it kind of makes sense that they would put the
That's
W.
upsetting.
Wouldn't you
They
say like
also say-
turquoise? How do you say turquoise then?
I say turquoise. The British say turquoise. They put like the W after the K sound.
Boy.
Don't
Turquoise.
they say like aluminium
That's
as
the
well?
sixth
Why,
one.
what does it?
Aluminium's
say
actually
aluminium?
Sort of correct.
Yes, aluminium is correct. That's how it's spelled.
But I mean, it's just like
Aluminum, like
Aluminum was.
Americans. Aluminum. What
Well,
the fuck
yeah.
is aluminum?
They literally misspelt it while they were describing aluminium, and
That-
it just
that is-
stuck.
That is what. Yes, that is. Yeah,
No,
that's,
I'm not lying. I'm not
America.
bullshitting.
that literally
how
is what it was.
I mean,
In any case, you have all been invited by the most honorable Lord Joseph Corse. He is the Marquess of Plymouth, which is in Devon. And
There a rock?
it is not the rock in America was named after this city in England. Though there are sort of Plymouth is not the sort of closest point to get to this. It's going to be a slightly further sort of trip, but to sort of take a more comfortable chartered boat to this island from Plymouth is going to be the most convenient way. As you have all traveled to Devon, I don't believe any of you are from this area. As you've all traveled there, with your invitations in hand for what you would hope to be, if nothing else, a rather sort of comfortable weekend. You would hope that, if nothing else, you were given good food. It's nice. It's always better to stay in a manor house than a cheap apartment or something. So you would hope it will be a good time. Maybe some interesting people. Perhaps some of you have other motives for accepting this invitation. But I'm actually going to, though this is a very dice-light game, I need to start with a luck roll from everyone. This reflects...
Which
So you
dice
will
is
look...
that?
Everyone will look at their own dice. It is up at the top, so Vonda, it will depend on your sheet.
Hey, yes, I got
So
it. I got
everyone
it.
roll your respective dice.
I am unlucky.
I rolled a 5.
A 5.
We don't
2.
add anything, right?
You don't add anything, no.
Stats to add.
I rolled a 12 and a 5.
A 12 and a 5. Nice. Wait, you don't get to roll double on that.
Oh, I don't get to. Okay.
Yeah, or if you,
either way, it's.
Or if you want to, you could drop one of your other proficiencies, and you could just be proficient in. Actually, no, that's too powerful. That's too powerful. Keep your other specialties. That's fine.
Okay. Either way, it succeeds.
You succeeded either way in this case, so point is irrelevant. Sybil, what did you roll?
6.
6. Great. So, in Plymouth, sort of without any travel snafus, which no one in the modern day would know anything about, because these days flights are never canceled. There's never like delays of traffic or anything now. That's a thing.
Of course not. Airlines pay all of their workers fair wage. So
it's travel has been a dream since what 1950. Sort of arriving on time, sort of plenty of time here on Friday afternoon. Sybil Wilson, Reginald Huntington Smythe, and Sophia Esterhaas all find themselves walking toward a well-appointed boat at a dock in Devon, in Plymouth. I believe that Lord Reginald and Sybil are actually acquainted with one another, but sort of for the benefit of our viewers and for the benefit of Baroness Sophia, why don't you both how about all three of you describe your characters? And also, I should have given you a little preparation on this, but like for a weekend, tell me how many steamer trunks you have with you, how decadently you're traveling, basically. On a scale of 1 to Real Housewives. Sybil, let's start with you. Why don't you describe yourself to everyone?
Is there a limit? Like, is there a carry-on limit, or?
No.
There's also 6 boats.
There's a couple of sailors who, if
the only limit is who's carrying all the stuff for you.
And at that, I mean,
servants.
She's
how many
tipped
people
some
would you have
porters at
carrying
the
everything
train
for you?
station to roll it, and now there's some sailor guys, so you can take a pretty good number.
I think that would be the only thing.
I would have come alone, so I guess just the one trunk.
Do you guys hear that pounding above my head?
A little.
here.
Now that you pointed out a little bit.
Man.
Whatever. It's
Get a
always,
broom. Do the classic.
if I do that, my popcorn ceiling falls down on my head because I'm living the high life. Great. Sophia, with your one trunk. You are how old?
Sybil with one trunk.
Sybil with one trunk. Sophia probably has more, so sorry. Sybil, Sophia, not going to be a problem. Oh my god. So yes,
I
Sybil.
apologize.
Sybil. Yes, with your one trunk. You are 22, 23?
Let's say 22.
Wonderful. And you are you dressed in like super fancy clothes, just kind of something modern, fashionable? What's your vibe as you sort of walk up to this boat?
Definitely modern and fashionable. But if this was like, I mean, if she's been traveling, she wouldn't be wearing the best of the best because that's a long journey.
So you're in nice but travel clothes.
Yes.
You're in like a nice travel suit. Very good. So
Is
Sybil,
it cold?
It is actually a bit cold. This is certainly more of a sort of
A coat affair.
a coat. It is a coat situation. It's probably like it's late winter, early spring, so it hasn't quite warmed up. So as you, Sybil, as you're sort of some porters from a train station kind of are carrying your case over there, you turn and see Lord Reginald walking up behind you. Lord Reginald, would you describe yourself to us and how many cases you're bringing yourself?
I have 2 trunks because I am able to actually carry them both by myself.
Fair enough.
And I would say I'm not super lavish again because it's travel, but I do have a pretty decently nice coat on, with a hat, of course, to cover the hair and protect
Very
to
good.
keep fairly warm at least. But
Love
you know, incredibly handsome gentleman with would have been slicked back blonde hair if you could see it.
Very good. As the two of you are sort of arriving and another sort of carriage is coming up behind you, you notice that there are a couple of sailors who are sort of here, sort of walking forward, sort of taking your cases, but there is also among them a young man who's actually wearing like, he's got like a coat on over it, kind of a, like a nice overcoat, but he appears to be wearing more of like a footman's livery. And he sort of actually steps forward, and like sort of, maybe takes, like Sybil, if you also have like a hat box or something, he's actually sort of handling that and making sure that when they're loading stuff, they're sort of being a bit more careful with it. He offers you a hand to help you onto the boat, Sybil, and just sort of nods to you, very sort of deferentially, and says, Miss Wilson, and seems to know you by description. Lord Reginald, he helps you on the same. Referencing you as my lord, as he sort of.
She would thank the guy.
Of course, ma'am.
Does the guy try to grab it with one hand, just like?
Oh no, he's not taking your bags. Like the sailors are taking your bags. He's just helping you aboard the ship and making sure that your materials are being carefully laden, so that nothing is in trouble. Baroness Sophia, as you sort of pull up, you see these two younger individuals, one wearing a hat, one wearing sort of nice travel clothes. Could you describe yourself to us, or is it basically just the picture over your shoulder?
Well, it's just an inspiration that, it's an elderly lady dressed in a very good quality, but a bit conservative and even old-fashioned clothing. I realized I want a walking stick for sure.
You can certainly have a walking stick.
A walking stick and
It's like
hat with some
wand or something.
kind of old stylish hat with some feathery stuff on it, and
Of course.
then I slowly make my way to the boat.
The footman, kind of having noticed that Sybil and Lord Reginald seem to be, sure-footed people, and now they're aboard. He sort of even steps up, Baroness, and as the sailors are now taking your cases and putting them on, this footman is kind of giving you an arm to hold and helping you aboard the vessel with some care, and he addresses you as Baroness and is very sort of polite.
Yeah, I kind of like politely ignore him, I mean, like to my.
Of course, yes.
I'm not rude, but
sure.
he's
The
very
help. Oh.
Yes, Baroness, and he sort of like, sort of just guides you over, and this is an open sort of kind of sailboat type vessel, and he's sort of guiding you over to sort of Sybil and Reginald. There are some sort of fairly comfortable seats. This looks like definitely looks like a nicer sort of pleasure yacht, like a little schooner or something. And so as they sort of load you on, they suggest that they will, that sort of they're going to make all due speed to the island to Jin Island. And the footman does come around and sort of say, yes, our sailors have suggested that we may be in for choppy weather. I do have some champagne if you would like me to serve it to you now, but there is a possibility that the ride will be a bit bumpy. So, if you would like, I can provide you with a beverage. Otherwise, we could wait until we're ashore.
Of course, my dear sir. I would like to make drink now.
Ah, very good, sir. He pops open a bottle of champagne and pours you a glass. He sort of turns.
Is it just the three of us right now?
What
Just
time
the three.
is it?
Oh,
Is it
including four,
at
including you?
noon at least?
Oh, it's
Or
a-
you eat?
It's the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So, is it just the four of us in the room?
Right now, it's just the three of you
Wonderful.
on this boat. Yes.
Okay.
Plus the help.
Sybil will take
They
a
don't
glass.
count.
Sybil takes a glass. Baroness, did you want a glass as well?
Not for me. I'll have some tea once we land.
All right. He sort of nods and sort of backs up. And he does sort of pause a bit. And kind of the sailors are having a conversation. The rest of you, you may converse amongst yourselves if you'd like for a moment. Or you can sit there in weird, stony silence. either one feels very Agatha Christie.
I'll lean towards Sybil and just ask, do you know who the old coot is?
I pretend that I don't hear.
You're pointing at her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, I've no idea who that is.
Speak up, young man. Speak up, I cannot hear you.
Well, I wasn't speaking to you.
Rude. There is no reason for such rudeness.
I was merely answering your question, my dear lady.
I know him.
Also, Philip, I have to tell you, Reginald likes to rate people by attractiveness, so you're gonna have to give me a 0 to 10 meter on a lot of people here.
Understood. He likes to sort of
deja vu.
Is this Phoenix? Are you just playing Phoenix again?
This is even less likable Phoenix.
He has a rubric, basically. You're saying, okay.
Philip, you should just give him the specialty detect talent.
We'll explain what detect. I mean, I think everyone can guess what detect talent is, but we'll explain detect talent in full detail at some point. But it is not for this game. Understood, Lord Reginald. I will not speak for any player characters, but so far the sailors in the thing just none of them have anything on you. Obviously, they're just.
Well, no one does, but that's beside the point.
They're real normal looking dudes. So as you kind of have this kind of conversation, wondering who maybe some of these other people are, etc., and as Sybil seemingly is like, okay, Reginald, please don't offend anyone in front of me. You hear the sailors are kind of having a sort of a bit of a conversation, and a bit frustrated, and the footman is sort of nodding and sort of he actually then steps off the boat for a moment, and he goes and talks to a couple of other sort of sailors over at a different dock, and you see him pull out a few pounds and hand them to some of the other sailors, who sort of nod. And he then sort of gets aboard the boat, and as you notice the sailors as they're sort of on your boat, the ones they're talking and pointing. In the far distance, you see some rather dark clouds.
We saw one of the sailors give money to another one.
You saw the footman get off and give money to a sailor still on the pier. But he is now returning to the boat and nodding to the sailors, and he sort of turns and says, "We will actually be departing now, because you were lucky enough to get here on time. So you are on the comfortable boat, which sails away. It's going to maybe take maybe an hour or so, hour and a half, depending, to make it to the island. You'll probably be there by 3 in the afternoon or 4. So as the Baroness Sophia, Sybil, and Lord Reginald set off, 2 of you with champagne in hand, sailing away to some island off the coast. I need Dr. Austin Gordon and the Immortal Ivan to make another luck roll.
I do have a question for Immortal Ivan, even though I'm aware I'm not seeing you. Does the Immortal Ivan, when he is Ivan, look anything like is there a fake mustache or like
a real mustache?
He is, when he's in his persona, he looks a lot more like this.
Okay.
He wears like makeup and stuff like that, so he doesn't look a ton like himself, but if you look closely, you can tell that like the outer persona in him is the same.
Okay.
So
6.
You rolled a 6. What about you, Immortal Ivan?
A 5.
A 5.
We made it.
Great. So no one gets the coolest 2 luck failure option.
Oh.
So
the crap boat.
The 2 of you arrive in Devon about between an hour and a half after this. There's already a light rain. You arrive in Plymouth, rather. You've been traveling through Devon probably for a couple hours by this point. And both of you sort of bring yourselves to the docks, which are pretty much clearing out now. That there is a light, like a lantern is lit kind of under a little tarp, next to a modest-looking fishing boat, basically. And as the two of you are sort of walking over there, why don't you describe yourselves and tell me how many cases you both have?
I'll start. Dr. Austin Gordon is wearing a very heavy cloak that he put on because of the rain, with a normal old hat, something like that. He has pretty thick glasses, and underneath the hat you can see brown hair. Yeah, brown hair. In a finely combed style. He's lugging behind him one fine luggage trunk, pretty big, that has wheels on it. He's that type of traveler, frequent traveler. Sure. And in his other hand, he's carrying a bag of supplies with him.
Is it like classic like leather folding, crimped top leather folding bag? Doctor bag. Yeah, like perfect. That. Okay, great.
Does he have a mustache?
I think he clean shaves, so he doesn't have a mustache or a beard. Wait, he's Scottish. He has to have a beard and mustache.
Not necessarily.
Not really. I mean,
they don't all.
Oh,
I can think of a few.
He has to have a red hair.
National law. You have to have a dwarf beard if you're Scottish. No, he's clean shaven then, because it would get in the way of his work if you had to worry about his beard.
Shouldn't his hair be red?
Yeah. What's that?
Shouldn't his hair be red? Ginger? Since he's a Scottish.
Not all Scottish people have.
I thought that's Irish.
I mean, there are.
It's national law.
As sort of the doctor sort of
no, never mind.
walks down this sort of thing as this rain is falling around 3 or 4 p.m. Ivan, would you describe yourself?
Well, at the moment, you don't see much of Ivan, as he is wearing a very thick canvas cloak, a rain cloak over his head, pulled down so that his features are not very visible.
Is he traveling in that full-on? He's traveling looking like that, like you're back.
A good actor is always in character.
Okay.
This is designed. It's just no matter what, she cannot escape.
The doctor looks back at seeing this vampire walking behind him, talking to no one in particular.
You just see him and he just nods at you and then walks on to whatever work. He has 3 trunks with him.
3 trunks. Okay, so somebody is probably behind you, like pushing one of your trunks at least, as some porter you'll have to tip. As Dr. Austin Green and the Immortal Ivan approach, Gordon, oh my lord, as you both approach kind of down the dock, you're not seeing the boat you were looking for, and you see there is another man. He's kind of thin. He's wearing a rather simple sort of coat, and all he has is a case. Doesn't even have like a trunk. He just literally has like a single, like a bag, like a standard suitcase. And he's wearing sort of a coat with his collar turned up, and he's kind of just like complaining to just some rather rough-looking fisherman on the dock, and the fisherman sort of saying like. I don't have to take you anywhere if you don't want to go. I'm not going to force you onto any boat or anything. And this guy's saying, I that simply will not stand. That is utterly he kind of just looks back, and both of you see him for the first time, kind of in the glow of this lantern next to this boat. Very sort of thin, sharp features. Probably looks to be around maybe 40 years old.
What's the matter?
Is he wearing a deerstalker?
He is not, no, but you're not there.
Phew.
Phew. So as you approach, he just sort of turns and sort of looks at both of you and says, Are you heading to Gin Island as well?
Yes. I assume you're the same? Another invited guest?
Yes, but they're telling me the boat already left and we're meant to get into this. And he just gestures to this kind of sturdy but rickety-looking fishing vessel.
Austin, doctor, takes a glance at this thing, and also glances at the caped, creepy vampire behind me, and
it's hard to make up my face. You just see a pale dude, basically.
yeah, exactly. And he's just silent for a long, long time before finally he gives a sigh and with one hand lifts his heavy trunk into the boat.
Sure. The one of the fishermen kind of comes over and sort of helps you position it and just kind of, nods. This guy who just saw this, he just sighs and climbs onto the boat as well.
I do the same.
Very well. So the three of you position yourselves. He sort of just looks at both of you and just looks at the clouds.
Of the Marquess.
I am. I've been invited. Yes, I've. He, extends a hand to you. Slickett is the name. Tom Slickett, yes.
Tom Slickett, alright.
He sort of reaches into his pocket and hands you his sort of literal calling card, which lists him as a solicitor.
Ooh.
Open up my shirt jacket, put it in the pocket. And I guess for politeness, I also carry around business cards and give it to him as well. Dr. Austin Gordon.
Dr. Austin
Lord.
Gordon.
You said I was a lord, right?
I don't think you were a lord.
No, I'm not a lord. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Lord Dos. Okay, I'm not a lord. Yeah.
You're a doctor. You're a doctor professor. That was your dual titling.
Yeah. Doctor Professor of Oxford.
Yes.
And
hello, sir.
I turn to the hooded figure. You're not an assassin.
He'll sort of turn as well.
Kind, right?
Say that again?
You're not an assassin, right? Most conspicuous assassin.
You say this, and the man in the hood just kind of looks at you, and then he raises a hand and he flicks his hand, and a card appears in it, and he hands it to you. And it says it's all black, and it just says in very Baroque lettering, "The Immortal Ivan."
Is there even any contact info on it, or?
Nope, nothing. There is nothing on it but the word "The Immortal."
And then it turns into a dove.
How? Are they in blood red?
Of course
White or blood red?
Ivan is in blood red. The Immortal is in white.
He just kind of this gentleman, this Tom Slickett, kind of just sees that and just says no further words to you, Dr. Gordon. He just kind of crosses his arms and leans back in the boat. And as you guys sort of set off, sort of puttering out of the thing on pretty choppy water, as soon as you're on the water, it's like, okay, here it goes. We will go back to the other boat as it arrives at Jin Island. And you notice that though there is a small village on one side of it, you are sort of going further around the island, and you see kind of on some sort of a high cliff, that there is
on a cliff.
There is a very nice looking house, kind of square, in a revival style. So kind of it's a relatively new building. It's not like a super medieval structure, but it was built to have some very kind of medieval things. It looks like it's probably like 4 stories high. There's some pretty impressive sort of gables on the top, gables and sort of spires and things. But one detail you do notice as sort of the ship is kind of coming around to put in towards a little sort of a little dock that then leads up a walkway leading to the house. Is that there is this very striking cantilevered balcony. So basically just a completely jutting off on its own without kind of posts or stilts or anything. This very kind of large balcony on the rear of the house, on the highest level, that kind of just goes almost out over the ocean. Below it are several sort of sharp rocks and kind of the surf as it hits there. But you guys all put off, and you see that the sort of rain has been catching up with you, but it is still not quite raining here yet. And you have not had any rain hit you thus far. As you begin to sort of get off of the boat, some other footmen come down and sort of nod to the footman, and he sort of like nods to you all and helps them, carrying your bags up these sort of staircase that's sort of been carved into the side of the island here. And they also sort of are sort of coming down, but another gentleman is walking down to you all. And he is a slightly older person, still wearing a livery. And he sort of approaches and says, you seem to have beaten the weather. Welcome.
It was a close call.
It does seem to be. Yes, Baroness Esterhas. You are most welcome, of course. He sort of helps you off the boat. He'll offer a hand to anyone else. My name is Norman. I'm the butler here. And I wanted to personally be here to help you, to sort of see to you arriving at the property. So, this way, please. He kind of gestures up these sort of steps.
How many steps are there?
Butler? Sorry.
The butler is probably 50. And the steps are a lot.
Wait, you expect me to climb on all these steps? This is unacceptable.
Oh, of course. Then we will. There is a path this way, and he sort of leads you and says there actually is we can get you to a carriage. If anyone else would prefer a carriage ride, I suppose you could ride with the Baroness as well. Will just take a while. Otherwise, you're free to proceed directly up to the property this way. Oh, sorry, wrong guy. Oh, yes, you can proceed directly to the property this way. But he'll sort of start walking with you, Baroness, to go get a carriage kind of like around the side that will ride sort of up not quite as steep an area.
I'm hoping that he looks like Anthony Hopkins. Remains of the day?
Yeah, we can go with that. I was kind of picturing more of a like hangdog sort of Jeeves type, like jowly butler.
Jeeves.
But like a yes, very well. It's this way, but he can be Anthony Hopkins-esque. That's no problem. I should adjust his accent, but
become Tim Curry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are Sybil or Reginald, are they going with the Baroness, or are they going to walk up the steps?
Well, of course not. I'm young. Now I'll start walking.
You're muted.
You are muted. Good.
How much longer is the ride?
The butler indicates that by the time they get to where because like they still have to walk a little distance. By the time they get to that, and then you have to ride around a thing, you would be getting to the house about 10 minutes later than if you just walked.
Sybil will walk.
Okay. So as Sybil and Lord Reginald sort of begin sort of huffing and puffing up these kind of, switchback sort of stairs, Baroness, you are led over to a kind of carriage around the side that they're going to drive you up on. Sybil and Lord Reginald, the two of you, get to the top of the steps, and you see the property just about, 100 feet away from you. As you sort of are just coming up the back step, though, you do notice there is a figure standing on that cantilevered balcony, looking out at the water, kind of waiting for the rain to begin to fall.
Can we see what he looks like?
You may. He is at a distance, though, where this is a roll. So, for your sort of just... Actually, Reginald, let's see if you just get a lucky view. Make a luck roll.
Yes.
Let's give it like that.
Hey, give
7.
A 7, Reginald, kind of the perfect little bit of light sort of shines down, and you see a rather severe older gentleman. I think that Lord Course, the Marquess, is someone who you would know by appearance, even if you've never actually met him yourself, and you can tell that is who is standing up there. He seems to be sort of just staring out at the water, kind of waiting for the rain. He has this very...
He's on a balcony?
He's on this balcony, and it's this very kind of like... It's kind of scary looking balcony because it just juts out over the water with nothing underneath it. Yeah, it's a you know, it's got like it's
it's perfect for someone to die.
Anyway,
I cannot imagine where this
there's
might be going.
no one said anyone's going to die in this game.
Is this Chekhov's
Reynolds not thinking
balcony?
anything.
There might maybe the game's called Murder by Murder, but there's no murder. Wouldn't that be a twist? And you guys are just this whole game.
They're waiting for 4 games for it to
and this
happen.
whole game's just
What if
about
Philip was
insurance
just
fraud.
Yeah, he was just gonna have us roleplay a dinner party, actually.
Oh
What if
god,
he
he
did that?
whittled
He
some
made us all
dice.
expect a murder, and we
He
just
whittled some dice and say we're gonna play a game called.
No.
Called dinner party.
Also, thank you so much, Apostrophe This, for these sub gifts. That's super kind of you to do. That's much appreciated. So forgive me for this terrible idea, and that now the game's becoming, what if there's no murder, and what we're role-playing is it you guys being at a murder mystery party, where you're role-playing a murder mystery?
No, too much. I cannot follow it.
You're getting too far in again.
I'm inside.
Then one of us
man.
dies in real
Too many
life.
dreams
No
within a dream.
recursion. No recursion. Recursion is banned.
He's too deep.
We've done a recursion already.
All right,
went
so
too deep.
with that, Sybil and Lord Reginald, you reached the top. Lord Reginald, you got a sight of Lord Corse out on that balcony. But now you see the house before you. The footmen, they're already sort of rushing back to sort of an entrance near the rear. If you're looking at your plans of the house and its ground floor, you see they're going to that back door into the kitchens. Whereas you, however, sort of see a very nice path leading to a larger path that could accommodate sort of, you know, cars and carriages and things that leads to the front door, which is currently standing open. And both of you have the impression that is where you are meant to head.
Are you quite all right, Sybil? That was quite a walk.
I'm fine. I'm just curious what this party is about.
You and me both.
All right.
I'll
So,
head into the hall.
as the two of you approach, before you have sort of crossed the plain and sort of seen into the hall, you hear two people arguing. You can't hear what they're saying, but you hear what you think is a man's voice and a woman's voice engaged in a rather intense conversation.
Absolutely want to listen in.
Understood.
I will also try.
I am gonna even say that here's a situation where like no roll is required. If you two are just not loudly walking in and you just want to kind of like step up slightly and listen before you cross, you can easily do so.
We both just nod at each other like.
Yes, and in fact, as luck would have it, because luck has dictated who is here when, and if you can tell, there's a lot of situations where if someone arrives at this time and takes this method up there, they hear X and yeah.
Wow, you planned to.
You mean clues?
There's guys, we don't use the C word. Okay, I believe that as luck would have it, both of you recognize the voice of one of the people speaking. A young man whom you know as either Lord Joey or Little Lord Joey. He is the youngest son of Lord Corse. He's the youngest child, and the only son, in fact. And he is sort of in his very typical. It sounds totally. Even if you couldn't hear him perfectly, the way he's whining, you would basically just be like, okay, never mind. That's who he's talking to, and he's sort of saying, like, oh, would you just lighten up? I'm sorry. I'm not. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. And then you hear this woman's voice, very sharp, very sort of angry, saying, Joey, you have no right. You have no right to try to interfere in things like this. He says, well, what's the trouble with it? She's more like a sister to me than you ever were. Joey, I swear. And basically this woman sort of breathes heavily and says, as far as I'm concerned, none of us should be here this weekend. This is already turning into a disaster, and you are making it worse. And she sort of, you hear heels clicking away.
Away, like towards the...
Like, deeper into the house.
Oh, deeper in, okay.
Yeah. With that, Joey walks out. He's wearing kind of like... He's not even wearing, like, he's not wearing dinner clothes or anything. He's just wearing, you know, kind of like vague, like, hunting chic sort of look. Walks out, sort of, is pulling out a cigarette, but he spots both of you. And, with no look of embarrassment or anything on his face, sort of just turns and goes, Sybil! Reggie! Hello!
Joey?
Hi, I was so good. I heard you might be coming.
Wouldn't have missed
all
it.
right? Do we call him Lord when we're talking to him? Like,
You don't have to.
okay.
He's
Is everything all right, Joey?
Oh, did you hear my sister?
Is that who that was? What
Which
we
one?
couldn't possibly make out what was happening. We just heard raised voices.
Oh, sorry about that. Please don't tell her that you heard her, because she's going to... Oof. Oh, that's Amelia. Oh, no, sorry, Amelia's his mother. No, that's Alicia. Sorry, she's in a... I don't know what's in her bonnet this weekend, but she's all upset about something. Don't even worry about it. As far as I know, Odette's not even coming. Odette, yes. And in fact, both of you, I think, or at least Sybil does, I think. Let me double check on both of you. I believe you both are somewhat acquainted with Odette Fuller.
Yes.
Alicia's daughter.
Oh, yes.
And basically, Odette is Joey's, like, niece, but they're about the same age. It's one of those situations. Yeah. And so
he's sweet on each
We need
other.
a family tree at some point.
I know, right?
They are not sweet on each other. I'm not going quite that dark with this.
We're not going Crusader Kings.
Yeah, no, they're but they are more like siblings than he is. Like, his sisters are more like aunts, and his niece is more like his sister, just based on his relative age. He's much younger than his sisters. But he sort of just says, I don't know, Odette. Alicia didn't invite Odette, and I don't know why. And Odette found out, and I told her she should come, and now Alicia's all upset about something. Anyway, welcome. Have you been to Course Court?
This would be my first time.
Oh, well,
Might as well.
Well, unless anyone's, I'll come in. Let me show you around. And he sort of gestures you in. You see, mainly before you is this large, beautiful hall. There is a staircase leading upstairs at the end of it, as well as a small door. There's a couple of doors on sort of the sides of the room, on the sides of the hall, just leading to, you know, library, ballroom stuff. But he's just kind of moving you in, and he sort of says, "Oh, they've got your bags. I'm sure they're taking your bags somewhere. Oh, I wonder what suites you're in." Well, anyway, yeah, come along. And he sort of gestures you guys in. Baroness, you are riding in a carriage with the butler. If you'd like to say anything to him or discuss anything with him, you may do so.
He's
Otherwise,
a butler.
with the butler, you can live your life.
He buttles.
I asked him about the weather. It's like, is it always so dreary here?
Oh, no,
Northern?
ma'am. It typically is not, but this is it can be this way. But we were hoping for a clearer weekend, but hopefully it'll be a short storm and we'll pass, and you'll have beautiful sunshine the rest of your visit.
Well, one can't help hope.
Of course. So, as you sort of drive up, Baroness, you actually find yourself outside of the very same thing, but now the rain is fully falling. Meanwhile, on another boat, Gordon, Ivan, and Slicket. It is any conversations you all wanted to have are going to be superseded by the fact that you really cannot hold a conversation amidst the roar of the waves and the just sort of shaking of this boat. It's become pretty darn violent as you're going in. And another thing that you sort of sense is the sailors, they're being real quiet too. They're being real quiet and real focused on what they're doing.
Gordon is sat down in his seat, and he has this look on his face like he's used to this sort of situation. The rocky shores, the rocky boats and all that stuff, given his history.
Would make understood. Ivan, how are you handling this?
If you were to look at Ivan right now, it would be he's strangely unbalanced, despite how rocky the boat is.
Understood. So you two are sort of just writing this with some degree of stoicism. Your companion, Tom Slicket, different situation. Every time the boat sort of shifts, you hear him just go, ah! He seems very sort of on edge and nervous, and you see that his knuckles are bone white as he's just clinging to whatever sort of seat he's found himself on a fishing on a crate somewhere. I'm just imagining this is like a real like that kind of boat. But no luck roll required. You don't die. But the boat does take you to the main sort of little port of this town on Jin Island, rather than to sort of the private port back around. And as you sort of feel yourself pulling up, and one of the sort of the fishermen is like throwing a mooring out to someone on the dock who's kind of run out like a rain slicker. The rain is definitely kind of coming down here. You've basically just been like riding the worst of it the whole time. If that makes sense, you're just like constantly at the front of the storm, so you're just constantly as it pours on you. Some guy like in a slicker is just coming at me like, what are you doing? This is how are you? Why didn't you turn back? And they say, oh no, they paid us whatever. Sort of some. You hear that basically money was exchanged to make sure that these guests got here. The boat is tied off. You are sort of basically literally helped just onto the dock with your cases, and then the sailors are just walking away to the pub. So the three of you, Dr. Gordon with your one case, and it's that you can sort of pull on wheels. Immortal Ivan with your 3 cases, and Tom Slicket with just his briefcase. You're all just there in the rain, and it's just pouring down on you, and Slicket's just grumbling. Let's see if we can find a car to drive us up there. He just starts walking, sort of towards the pub.
Yeah.
Baroness, you have now arrived at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of the butler brings you in and sort of looks around and says, I'm not sure where your traveling companions got to, but if you'd like, your room is still being prepared and your personal effects are being brought up there. But if you'd like, you could either relax in the library or the sitting room.
Oh my goodness. I really hope to have a rest after this interminable travel.
Understood then. In that case, why don't you have a brief seat here in the sitting room, and I will determine which suite you are in, and I will see you there directly. And he kind of just,
Very good, Norman. And some tea.
At once, he kind of nods and kind of snaps, and some footman somewhere is there, and you also overhear him, Baroness, as you're sort of kind of just sitting in the edge of the sitting room, which is kind of at the front of the house. You hear him muttering to one of these other, kind of footmen, like, where are all the other guests? Has anyone, well then send a car down for them, and we need tea for the Baroness. And you sort of, At this point, Baroness, you probably don't hear his voice anymore unless you're actively sort of looking. But Sybil and Lord Reginald, the two of you hear all of this from across the way in the library. Where Lord Joey is just saying, yeah, a lot of books, right? I don't read any of them. Books are boring.
Yeah, he's the intellectual in the family, right?
So,
Understandable.
have either of you, I don't know, perhaps we could... It's a lovely house here. I'm glad there's some younger people here. That's why I wanted Odette to come. I'd like to be just not a bunch of old so-and-sos.
Who else is coming?
Oh, I don't know. I think all my sisters will be here. And then I think, I don't know, some of the friends of father, I guess. And my mother's here, of course, somewhere. She's around. He kind of just, moves about, kind of looking at books, saying, these are all, I don't know. Oh, some of them have pictures. Those aren't so bad. But,
what about the rest of the house?
Oh,
May I see that?
Of course, yes. Yeah, we can, he sort of begins to sort of walk you out. And it's kind of like you now hear like thunder in the distance. It's raining very hard. He sort of walks you, actually, he's here in the library. He pauses and says, well, you want to see the dining room? Should we go across to the sitting room? What do you want to see?
What about the suites? May we see the suites?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, I'll take you up there. I don't know who's staying where yet. Maybe we should find the housekeeper. She can, Mrs. Williams. She's the housekeeper here, not at the main house, but here at Course Court. He just kind of, he walks you guys out of the library, up to the top, through the dining room, which has a very long table set with tons of places. Just kind of pushing you through, and there's like some doors at the back, which he sort of opens, and behind this is a bustling kitchen full of a good number of like kitchen maids, cooks, and sort of the servants are here moving stuff around, and he kind of like nods to all of them, and they're sort of, like looking up at once, and he's just kind of like, no problem, I just, where's Mrs. Williams? And one of the maids says, oh, she's downstairs, I'll fetch her, my lord. And she just runs, kind of to a staircase, kind of moving around you guys, and passing down.
She says what?
She says she's downstairs, my lord.
Oh, okay.
And before too long, a woman she has kind of like a very rosy cheeks. She just looks very friendly. Just sort of comes up, wearing this kind of like dark red dress, and approaches you both and says, "Oh well, welcome. Please let's step out of the kitchens. This is not a nice area to see. I want you to see this is Lord Joey. What are you doing, bringing them back?" He's like, "I don't know. They want to see the house. I didn't know where you were." And he sort of steps you guys into the dining room. Yes. What can I do for you all?
Oh, I would just tour of the premises.
A tour?
I heard there were some nice suites that you had.
Your rooms, of course. Your cases are still being taken, but we can look upstairs if you'd like. She'll sort of lead you out of the dining room, and the sort of staircase is immediately to your left. She leads you up the staircase, and soon you'll find yourselves on the first floor landing. You notice that there's kind of like two halls branching off from here on either side of the property. The two doors that you can easily see as you sort of emerge from the top of the house, to your left you see a door that is labeled Ares. And to your right you see a door that is labeled Athena.
Do we see a door in front of us?
In front of you is actually kind of like a pretty blank wall. There is a door in it, but it looks like a servant's entrance kind of situation.
Okay.
So if you're looking at Course Court first floor, imagine yourself standing at the top of the staircase that says down to ground floor. So right Ares, left there, and then kind of small irrelevant door over there, just a servant's kind of entrance sort of door. And she sort of smiles and says, yes, these are sort of some of the suites. None of these are occupied at present, aside from the Apollo suite, of course. And Lord Joey goes, "Oh, that's my room. You can show them my room. That's fine." And so he sort of guides you down sort of the male side of the house, where you see Ares, Poseidon, Hermes, and Apollo rooms. Each one has sort of like a very like bold color palette that has been chosen for it, but for the most part, they're kind of just identical chambers. You also see at the end of this hall, there is sort of a bathroom, which will be sort of shared for everyone. There's probably a little lavatory in each room, but like the bathing chamber is shared by all the gentlemen on this side and all the ladies on the other. Which is kind of customary in larger houses. There typically aren't en suites for everyone. But she sort of like nods to you all and says, oh, and in fact, Lord Reginald, you will be here in the Hermes suite. And she gestures to the suite next to the one where
does the door have staying. Does it just say Hermes? Is there like a plaque depicting Hermes? Or?
It just says Hermes on the suite, but inside of each of the rooms, there is a small, sort of like marble statue of each of the Greek gods in question.
My.
That's
quite exquisite.
Indeed. She will then sort of lead you, around the other side where she says, now these suites are all occupied, she kind of says perhaps we can, they've all been sort of done, and she sort of, you see a suite labeled Athena, another labeled Aphrodite, another labeled Demeter, but at the end of this hallway is a suite labeled Zeus. There's also a bathroom on one side and an unlabeled door on the other side. This door is open, and she kind of hasn't walked you into any of these other rooms, but the door at the end just is a nice little study there on the corner.
Is there someone in the room?
In the study, there is currently make a luck roll, actually.
Oh. 12. Man, I'm loving this.
Man, you are a lucky guy. Do you want there to be someone in there just for the sake of just chatting?
Well, I assume since the door was open, somebody must have been in there.
We'll say that there is someone in there. I'll just do a roll of an evens or odds. Yes, there is a woman in there. She is in her early 30s. She's dressed very well. She certainly sort of resembles Odette to some extent. But she is sitting at a writing desk, writing something. But as she hears people approaching, she sort of turns around and sort of stands up and says, yes?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you.
Oh, forgive me, Lady Gladys. I'm just giving them a tour of the property. Yes, Gladys, just some of my friends. Go back to doing whatever you're doing. Oh no, that's no, I wasn't doing anything. She picks up whatever she was writing, sort of folds it up, steps over to you both, presents her hand to you, Lord Reginald.
Is she... wait.
On the scale?
No, not the scale.
On the scale,
is she acting like she doesn't know me?
Gladys?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You know Gladys. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she Gladys does know you. Apologies.
Okay.
I've got to look at everyone's sheets here. Yeah, my sorry.
Okay. Let's see. Who knows? Let me get cross.
Oh, she knows you too, doesn't she, Sybil? Cool. So you both have seen this woman before. She sort of. Oh yes, of course. I know, Lord Reginald and Sybil. It's nice to see you both.
You are here as well.
Yes. Welcome to Corse Court. Are you giving them a tour? Oh, what room is Sybil in? And is she in Demeter? And this housekeeper says, well, we decided to put the Baroness here on the first floor, so she wouldn't have to walk up as many steps. So Sybil is actually upstairs in Nemesis.
Nemesis.
And she
Right,
sort of,
fitting.
she says, oh well, that's a shame. You're not even above me. We can't tap messages to each other. It's good to see you both.
If you would like to exchange messages, I'm sure we can find a way between rooms.
Yes, rather.
Is this a private study or is?
Oh well, it's my father's study, but he has other areas in the house as well. No, it's just a she kind of just gestures in, and yeah, it is just like it's a study. There's a desk, there's more books, there's a lot of seating, and of course like a bar. But she sort of just gestures to that. The rain is falling down, but I will actually say, just for the fun of this and to stop their prolonged suffering, you both look out the window at this moment, and see the window of the study. You see that there is a car with high beams blazing through the thickening rain, driving up the drive. Baroness, you also see the car. You see the lights of a car coming up, but at this point the butler has come back and said, Baroness, if you'd like to be taken to your room, it is ready for you now.
Oh, of course. Who is that, who's coming there?
Hopefully that is some of our other guests who are not fortunate enough to be on your boat.
My dear man, who else is coming?
Are you going upstairs, or are you sort of just
just we can talk about.
He'll sort of like, he'll kind of help, offer you an arm and start leading you out back into the hall, up the steps, and he is saying, I believe there are 6 guests, as well as the family coming this weekend, madam. Yourself, Lord Reginald, and Miss Sybil Wilson, who you rode with, as well as Dr. Gordon, a performer named Ivan, and...
Performer? Oh, how extravagant. Oh.
Yes, rather. He kind of, so basically, he sort of leads you upstairs and turns you towards a door that reads Athena, and starts leading you down a little hallway. Sybil and Lord Reginald, as you guys meanwhile are seeing sort of like the lights coming up the drive, perhaps even hearing some voices in the hallway, Gladys says, "Well, should we go and greet whoever else is arriving?"
Indeed. But one final question.
Yes, of course.
I would like. Who is staying in that room? Is it the master? And I point to Zeus.
Oh, yes.
Master of the house?
She kind of sort of like nods and says, "Yes, that is sort of where my mother and father, that is their room."
As a man as big as Zeus, I would assume so.
Yes, of course. Of course, she kind of like has a little smile. My eldest sister, Alicia, she gets the Harris suite upstairs and kind of just rolls her eyes, but in a rather good-natured way. As you guys leave the study, you actually see the butler leading the Baroness into the Demeter room, kind of next to the door you're coming in. And he sort of nods to you all. But if you guys are going downstairs to meet the others, we can sort of skip to that.
Sybil will ask if are the rooms, minus their names and appropriately placed statues, are they any different from each other?
The housekeeper will say, I assure you that every room in the property is very lovely. They all have slightly different designs, but yes, for the most part, the rooms are identical. Aside from the sort of the Hera, the Zeus room, and well, yes, aside from those rooms, they're all rather they're all functionally the same. The gentlemen's rooms, of course, are a bit more sort of rugged, have a little more of a sort of a hunting lodge theme. But at this point, as she's kind of half walking you down the hall, but then half sort of turning back to Baroness Sophia and sort of saying, "Yes, Baroness, welcome. I hope this room will be to your liking. Please, you can of course pull the bell if you need anything." And you simply want some time to rest now, I was told, and we'll have some tea brought up for you.
Oh, very, thank you very much, young lady. Very
yes.
kind.
Of course. And Gladys kind of nods to you as she passes. So I guess Gladys, Sybil, and Lord Reginald head downstairs just in time to see a man in a insane cloak covering most of his vampire face, a doctor with a doctor bag and a big case, and a very sort of severe-looking man taking one case out of kind of like a rather large like farm truck. And at this point, a footman is coming over to those people and like paying money to the driver, who's like nodding as if, yeah, I'd better be getting money for driving up here in the rain. Other footmen are bringing in your cases, though, gentlemen, and sort of welcoming you.
Are we soaked to the bone or something?
You are pretty darn sopping wet at this point. And as you enter the hall, the three of you sort of standing there with sort of now not all your stuff, unless do any of you retain Slicket, as a matter of fact, does not let them take his bag. He hangs on to it.
I hold on to my doctor's bag at all times, but I let him take my trunk.
Understood. So you hold that one. Slicket's got his whatever bag.
One of the two trunks I keep one of the two trunks on hand. Or one of the three trunks on hand.
A full trunk?
Yes.
Okay,
it's that performing trunk.
That actually attracts a bit of like confusion from some of the footmen, but they
just for
certainly do it.
Actually, so wait, no, he wouldn't keep it with him, but he would ask for them to wait a moment before they take it away.
Oh, okay, understood. So they'll sort of nod and say, okay, they leave that trunk, they begin carrying your other stuff up. And in fact, you now see there's a pretty large congregation coming down the stairs. You see a gentleman, is your hat off by now, Reginald?
Yeah.
All right, so you see...
Inside the house, yes.
You see a couple of sort of like handsome early 20s, fair-haired, rascally gentlemen kind of coming down the steps. You see a young lady coming down with them. Dr. Austin Gordon, I think you recognize the young lady.
Yes.
She's the stepdaughter.
That is Lord Hedderly's child.
Stepdaughter, in fact, yes.
Yeah, stepdaughter, of course.
Yes. So you would sort of...
Ivan would recognize me, though, right?
I believe in this circumstance, we'll let Ivan discuss who recognizes him. No one recognizes Ivan because right now he's...
Yeah, no, I know right. I wouldn't recognize him with that hood on. Yeah.
Ivan, you probably meet the young woman you probably have met on one or two occasions. In other circumstances, Lord Reginald's a very good-looking guy, so you remember him being backstage at some point, but you've never socialized with him. But you know he's someone who you've seen in audiences. The other people coming down the steps, one of them is a guy, is just another sort of like relatively dashing young man, but he's not. I don't believe you know Lord Joey.
I do not.
Yeah. And then you also would not know Gladys.
I would know of her.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean you probably know of all the courses, yeah.
But no, I do not. I've never met her.
As you sort of just see her kind of like coming down, as well as a butler, and then a bit behind them a housekeeper.
So tell me if this is too ridiculous for this to have been prepared, but I want to basically like take off the cloak, which has been fully covering my body, and take off the boots that are like covering my like panted legs with shoes inside the boots. Okay. Like that, like so that I didn't have mud on them, and and take the cloak off, and I have a full ass cape on underneath the cloak.
I am going. I'll tell you what, because that's hilarious. You can certainly do that, but let's go ahead, and you're very good at it. I want you to do this I want you to escape from those garments. So go ahead and do an escape artist roll for me. You do get to roll twice on those, but kind of so Sybil
it's a D12.
You roll D12 twice, and as long as one of them's above 5, you have succeeded in what you're doing. Sybil and Reginald, I'm kind of just trying to introduce the long shot odds that you fail this utterly. Yeah.
No, 12 and 11.
Perfect. So basically, Sybil and Reginald, as you're sort of stepping down, and Dr. Gordon to your side, you see Ivan like throw off his clothing and do this odd little like hop out of his boots and land like totally dry, aside from like maybe the top of his head. His shoes dry.
And I slick back my hair. Yeah.
Slicks back his hair, and you see this very ridiculous sort of stage presence. Lord Reginald, I'm going to say you recognize exactly who has just appeared before you. Sybil, make a luck roll.
I also revealing the reason I left the trunk behind. I take the cloak as it falls off and I fold it like mid like fall and like place it in like a compartment in the trunk.
Perfect.
And like set the shoes next to it. You may take them now.
The footmen are like. And
Please,
Gladys is just
please,
staring
of
down
course.
like, oh, Sybil, what is your luck roll?
Because I'm clapping.
Yeah.
7.
7. I'm going to say just kind of with like the luck of sort of just the angle of this, you do recognize this person despite, oh my god.
Maybe enough makeup just washed off from the rain.
Yeah.
Recognize. Oh,
I mean, she's seen a show. But she didn't.
No,
She's
only-
never been
has
to a show.
no
Yeah, that's
idea.
right. You've only heard of it. Yeah, that's right.
No idea.
So basically,
correct.
Sybil and Reginald recognize this person. Reginald starts clapping. Dr. Gordon, you're staring at this.
So I recognize him as Ivan. I recognize him as.
As John.
as John.
You met me as John.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, though, the guy on the opposite side of all of this, like on your other side, Dr. Gordon, Tom Slickett, just you hear him like, just glare. So Sybil, yes, but you see a very odd thing going here.
Austin, Doctor is just completely unfazed. He doesn't even flinch at this thing happening right next to him. He just, let's see, his trunk was taken, so he just takes off his wet cloak, and most of his clothes is pretty soaked inside. And he turns, "Where's my room? I need to change of clothes."
This sort of a butler sort of is sort of stepping forward and saying, yes, of course, Dr. Gordon, we do have you upstairs. We have you in the Ares room.
Fantastic. I turn to the children. Good to see you again, Gladys, Joseph,
Oh, Doctor.
Miss Wilson.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, we recall you enjoyed the Ares room.
For the
And-
record,
Mhm.
Sybil may recognize John, but she doesn't. Like, it was a moment of, wow, that guy looks a lot like John, but there's no way.
Fair enough, sure. Okay, cool. So fair enough. Yeah, even with your luck roll, you're like you pulled the random face from memory. Like, who does this guy look? Oh, he looks like that John guy. Crazy.
Yeah, but she's
so
not. She
haven't.
thinks he definitely looks like him, but she's not making the association that is definitely him in some weird ass outfit.
And he's doing the weird voice. Gladys sort of nods to you, Doctor.
What weird voice would that be?
As does maybe to
Can't
me
chuckle.
your voice sounds weird. Doctor,
of,
if you're just going straight upstairs, you actually know where the Ares room is, and sort of they're going to bring some trunks up to you. You might beat your trunk as they're sort of taking it back up the back way
fine.
to sort of slick
I
it.
should dry myself.
I don't think I ever described myself. Can I do that now that? the
Oh yes,
cloak is
now
off?
that you're out, please describe your appearance. Absolutely.
So the immortal Ivan is like he's basically this, but he's a little younger. He's probably around 30 years old, 29, 30ish, and he's like 6'1", like really tall, and the, like stark white makeup. Even on his his hands, he has gloves on, so you can't like see any of the skin that isn't like made up. And there's like a long cloak with a red inside, that flutters down behind his like tuxedo, kind of. And his shoes are spotless because they were inside the boots because he
Yes, it
absolutely
should
did that.
be very, very theatrical.
One point of clarification: even though we haven't used them yet, does he get an extra aha point because he rolled? Because
You
both his
do.
rolls.
In fact, give yourself a 4th aha point.
Ooh, yeah.
Good point. Good. Aha point. And for those out there wondering what the hell we're talking about, well, in this weird system that so far seems to be working fine enough, there's a renewable resource called aha points. You always reset to 3 of them at the start of every game. Aha points let you just basically be like, aha, and kind of just give you fairly fairly expected sort of boosts that one would get in an RPG system. And I even allow you to, under certain circumstances, try to use them to just like have me explain some oblique clue I'm giving you that doesn't make any sense. But you can also, you can spend them and add them to sort of rolls. So like if you're ever a few away from a 5, because in this game, all you're trying to do is roll a 5. It's a real binary simple system. There's actually no difference between a 5 and a 12. There's no like, it's not like a D&D thing where it's like, I've perfectly done it. It's just kind of, you're like, I did it or I didn't. Very different from other games where like that D100 where I'm all about like degrees of success and extreme. This is just, you did it or you didn't. Mystery. Oh my god.
Also, before I forget, did Gladys mention what room she was in? I don't think I wrote it down.
Gladys is in, let me look at the list. So Gladys is
I
in
think
Aphrodite.
Okay, because I was pretty sure she mentioned it too. Sybil.
Yes. The Athena room, you haven't heard who's there, but her name rhymes with Schmivian. Okay. Yeah, and Sybil will of course be, Sybil is up on the top, not the top floor, up on the second floor, which is for us the third floor, because the UK.
In Nemesis, yes.
In Nemesis. Greek goddess. The sort of, they basically come down and this housekeeper has come down and said, if the other gentlemen want to, if they would like to go to their rooms as well, Mr. Ivan, you are in the Poseidon room, this way, and Mr. Slickett, you are on the second floor in the Dionysus room. And he just kind of like, you've never seen someone who has less Dionysian energy than this guy. He kind of just, and he just marches up carrying his own case. I'm sure I'll find it, he kind of says gruffly as he passes. You notice as he passes that Gladys pauses and looks at him. Kind of an odd expression. And then he just marches up the steps. In any case, Dr. Austin, if you're going to go upstairs, you're sort of led up the stairs to your chamber, which is on the first floor in the Ares suite, of course.
I would have just taken the time to get a change of clothes and dry myself and all of that. Assuming that we have time before any sort of meetings or dinners, I would have mingled with the other guests and introduced myself.
We'll get to that today. Yeah, we'll do some mingling here. Basically, yeah, what is everyone doing as now rooms are assigned? Does everyone want to go check out their chambers?
That would be preferable, yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, there is not really much to report in these chambers. I'm kind of going back and forth about something, and I think the answer is I'm not going to have this be a fast rule, but I might do it on a few occasions, which is I kind of never want, sort of for a certain, we've already half done it with the Baroness, but I may never have any of you be alone, or at least at certain times. I may kind of, anything you want to do when you're completely alone, I may have you like do off screen, just via text with me, just so that people can do such things. That being said, Gladys, just because there's if most of you are going to your rooms, what you're going to find is a well-appointed room with like maybe a little lavatory set into it, but the bathroom is going to be a communal one across sort of in a hallway. And most of these bathrooms, as is the way it is in these larger houses, will have like multiple bathtubs in them. But there is clearly like a ladies' bathroom and a gentleman's bathroom sort of on the opposite sides of the stuff. But most of you are going to find, yes, is when you enter the room, it says the name of a Greek deity on the door. When you go in, sort of in a position, typically it's going to be like, just like on like a little table, sort of in the middle of the room, maybe by whatever, like, you know, dresser or makeup table, whatever thing, it'll sort of be there. But in some cases, it's right next to the bed. The statues are all made of marble, and they're all about like 18 inches tall. So that is what, Dr. Gordon, you find a statue of Ares in your chamber. Immortal Ivan, you find a sort of Poseidon, King Triton-looking motherfucker in yours. Lord Reginald, you find a fleet Hermes in your chamber.
Guy's a real figure collector, huh?
And they're all exclusives too. They're all like the. Are there AX exclusive figures, or is that?
But they are not in the original packaging anymore. So.
First, he had to put them for display.
That's really funny. But Gladys is going to take you, Sybil, up to your room. Because sort of you're like, as you're sort of, everyone goes up, they all sort of start spreading out on this landing, but you actually have to go up one more floor. So you are led up to the second.
Am I the only one?
On the no, are you gonna ask Gladys this?
No.
So far,
if I notice anyone else is going up.
You notice that man, that weird guy who just like wanted nothing to do with Ivan, so maybe he's a normal guy. There's a guy who's being sent to the Dionysus chamber. He just went up on his own, and you hear like a door slamming as you guys walk up, but no one else from none of those other guests have been up here. But she sort of leads you up, and the Nemesis is the very first door on your right. And she sort of opens it, and you look in. This is an interesting... I'll tell you what, do you think you kind of, like, peeked into the other rooms as people were going there, or would you have gone straight to your own room?
I wouldn't have peeked, like stopped and looked in, but I would have walked past and looked and not been hiding it. Like, does that make sense?
Of course, yes. Yeah, you just kind of you glanced into the other rooms, but you weren't.
Like, I'm not trying to hide that I'm looking in, but I'm not trying to like invade anyone's privacy.
Absolutely. So as you sort of walk in, Gladys says, "Yes, Nemesis," and she says, "And you do. It must be said, you do have a rather wonderful view." And she sort of gestures to the back, and there's an eerie quality to your room that actually only happens in Nemesis and Athena. Which is that you see the sea out the windows, looking out the rear of the house. You have this big, huge window that looks out. But for your room, in a way that it isn't even for Athena, there's this kind of like eerie feeling to it because you see that cantilevered balcony stretching, sort of like it's like if you look out the window, it's like you're wearing a ball cap. There's this.
Oh, the balcony up top.
There's a balcony, the floor above you, basically.
Can I see if
there is an overhang?
You know, it's that like that kind of vibe.
Sure. Okay. That's right above
the balcony's right above you.
So I can't see if anyone's on it.
You can't see if anyone's on the balcony, but you basically your view of like the sky is sort of cut off, but you do see the sea, and right now it is raining really hard, although there's no rain against that window because the balcony is blocking it all. So there's rain against your other windows, but that one is sort of clean.
You could see someone fall off the balcony.
Also, does the sun
look, do we need to
talk? Sun, would it be... Is the sun going to be waking me up or interrupting my nap when it sets?
Is it facing east or not?
I'm going to say, for ease of and to be a boring person, let's just say that this house is on a northeast southwest. So the sun will be rising from your windows.
Does she have sun curtains though?
There are sun curtains, of course.
Okay.
Guys, this is a nice house. Except the sun curtains are gone. Clue. Sybil, so you
Wait, are they gone?
No. But Sybil, there is something...
Not true.
You can't just say that.
Apologies. No, Sybil, no, there are nice sun curtains. You think they would block the sun, no problem. All the ladies' rooms are eastern facing. So they all have good sun curtains. Although in this day and age, you're supposed to wake up early, so you're not labeled a layup.
Yeah, no, she probably wouldn't close the curtains. Yeah. More for mine.
Understood. But as Gladys sort of shows you and says, "I do actually like this room. I've my sister is up here on this floor, and I've considered taking Nemesis myself on a few occasions. I just Gladys kind of sighs.
Why don't you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Nemesis, it's a little... Right? Sybil. Here's a situation where it's totally, this is not a thing, and it's also not, so it'll just be a 1 and 3 for you. Sybil, I want you to make a knowledge roll. Let's see what you know about the goddess Nemesis. Which for you is a...
Oh, D6.
D6. So, you got a 1 and 3 shot here.
It's so hard because I know... all right. Oh, I got a 6. Thank God.
She knows all about Nemesis because that is her energy.
So you know that Nemesis is the Greek goddess of retribution. The one who punishes mortals for hubris.
So in that case, I keep wanting to say Duchess. Sybil will tell Gladys, like, she'll kind of briefly explain it, but just say, you know, like, oh, Nemesis, the retribution, blah blah blah, and she'll just say, I think life is more fun if we all lived like her, don't you?
Gladys takes a moment, sort of, her eyes are kind of cloud over. And I mean, Sybil, perhaps you're aware, but even if you weren't, I think you would have a suspicion that this is certainly a woman who has been wronged at some point. She says, yes, well, like I said, it's a lovely room, though. I hope you enjoy it. She does, however... well, she sort of turns and sort of smiles. And Sybil, you notice, kind of, you follow her gaze, sort of to the, like, back towards your bed. And there is a sort of an end table next to your bed. There's one on either side. But it doesn't immediately register to you, although you had looked in some other rooms. But the way she just looked kind of as you said that and then saw it. Something about that end table sort of surprised her.
I'm absolutely going to check that out when she leaves the room. But I do want to say to her...
Yeah, she turns to go, but you can, yeah.
Okay, I just want to say to her, Gladys, just a quick question. I noticed on my invitation, it didn't say what occasion this party was for, and I got into quite an argument with my mother over it, and she just insisted I should bring a gift for a birthday just in case, and I said, how foolish would I look if it wasn't a birthday? So, do you know why we're all here?
It's not a birthday. It's just.
I thought so. I
it's just a weekend on the island. I'm not particularly, if I'm being honest. And she kind of like moves, actually, kind of like pushes the door closed because across from your door is the Dionysus suite. Although that door has been closed, but I guess somebody just went in there, so she's kind of being what she says. But I'm not really sure about why everyone here is invited. I understand you and Lord Reginald are here probably for Joey, and I hope you consider me a friend as well. But some of these other individuals, I don't know what's being planned. No one ever tells me anything, though. Well, I'll leave you to rest and settle in, but I look forward to seeing you for drinks before dinner.
As do I.
She kind of just steps out of the room, casting one last look over at that table before walking out.
Closed door. I'm going to go.
Very good. No roll
don't
required.
Look at it. You don't need to.
No. Yeah. Oh god. The other way to screw me in this game. One is to murder everyone. The other way is do not investigate a single clue. It's just I'll be like, there's a weird thing. They look at this and then walk out, and you're like, great, cool. I'll go to get dinner. Sybil, You walk over and you have this odd sense of something missing in this chamber. That table seems empty. There's nothing on it, although you do see some, like, it's been cleaned, but there are some, like, impression marks as if something used to rest on
it. Do phones exist at this point? I forget.
Phones do exist, but there's probably not one in every room.
Okay.
But I'm going to say because you had looked in other rooms, and you've kind of had this moment of, like, okay, well, what's going on here? This is the Nemesis Suite. Sybil, you know that nobody's in Nyx or Artemis or even Hestia. Something makes you think maybe you should go take a look in them.
Yeah, let's fucking do it.
You walk out of your room, walking sort of quietly. The door to Nyx is slightly ajar. You look inside. And by the bed, there is a marble statue of the goddess Nyx. Sort of the personification of night.
Sybil will look around pretty quickly, see if anyone's looking, and no one's go in room, pick up statue. Well, it's small, right?
It's like 18 inches. It's 18 inches of marble. They're pretty heavy. But it is at this moment that you realize that in your Nemesis room, there is no statue of Nemesis.
I fully all right. Is there? Can I see the bottom of the next one?
Because you're picking it up, I'm gonna make you do a physical roll.
I understand. Yeah.
And then she drops it.
No, it's just fortunately there's no crit fail. It's just roll a d6. Fine. You do manage to. I mean, you're like, oh, but you look at it and you're looking under it.
Yeah, like if there's any like writing or anything.
Nope. Seems to be a rather standard statue. If you go to the next chambers, you see a beautiful sort of Artemis, goddess of the hunt. You see Hestia, goddess of the hearth, in her room. You also see the Hera room at the end of the hall. Just Hera written on the nameplate of the door. That door is also slightly ajar.
Peek into Hera.
All right. You sort of peek into Hera. This room is a much larger sort of like beautiful sort of like kind of like main suite. There is a private full bathroom at the far side of it from where you're peeking in. There's kind of like the room is even sectioned off into like its own little sitting area, and multiple like screens to change behind. There's a huge bed sort of like against the wall that you are on. There is a massive statue of Hera in the room.
I'm gonna pick it up. No,
like a 6, or maybe not 6 foot, or maybe with like full everything, like a huge like marble statue of Hera is in this chamber, the queen of the gods.
And these statues all look like they were made by the same artist, and like they're the same kind of style and stuff.
They're maybe not made by literally the same artist, but they're definitely all of the same style, all of a piece.
Okay.
Yes, a Nemesis one, but you would suspect, based on where they were in Nyx, Artemis, and Hestia, the Nemesis statue should be next to your bed. And it's not. However, at this moment, the door to the private bathroom opens. And a woman emerges. She's around early 40s. Her resemblance to her sister Gladys is extreme. Her resemblance to her daughter Odette is even stronger. Why don't you make a luck? Do you want to have met Alicia before? Because you've gone carousing with Odette, but you may never have actually met her mom.
Indifferent.
Okay. Then just we'll do evens odds. Just roll a die.
2.
Evens. You have seen her before. And she sort of sees you and she recognizes you as well. Sort of pauses, kind of surprised, and says,
Alicia, you said her name was?
Yes, I mean to you she's Lady Alicia or Mrs. Fuller.
Yes.
But she sort of pauses and says,
Hello, Lady Alicia. I'm so sorry. I got a bit turned around. I was admiring all the statues in all these rooms, and I became so absent-minded I didn't realize I'd just walked right in here. I'm so sorry.
Not a bit of trouble at all, dear. She kind of like glides sort of towards you. Takes your hands. Welcome. Her hands are slightly damp, so she did wash them for the record. Like everyone, yeah. But she sort of takes your hands and welcome, Sybil. I'm so happy to see you here. The statue you said you were looking at. She kind of
yes, they're so
out.
beautiful.
Yes. They're I don't know. I think Father has a passion for mythology, and it's sort of well, between us, though Course Court was built long before we were here, he's always referred to it as Olympus.
That makes sense. I noticed, is the Nemesis statue on its way from, I'm sure, some art collector maybe, or it's missing in the Nemesis room. I just assumed it hadn't arrived yet.
She looks genuinely confused. Kind of walks out with you, kind of peeks into the other doors, which you've kind of slightly left open or whatever. She sees they're there, and she comes in and says, well, no. She kind of looks at and like does that dumb thing where you're like, I mean, is it under this? Obviously not, but I'll look anyway. like almost like looking under the bed. No, I've no idea where it is. Oh, she kind of gives you this like look and then sort of smiles. Says, I suppose we have a mystery on our hands.
That fun. Yeah.
And with that, you hear a bell ringing, indicating that they're about to serve the pre-dinner drinks. So as you all go to do that, that's where we're going to end this first session in typical Agatha Christie fashion. So I was like ready for some stuff, but also it's very on point for I'll also adjust this slightly because I think we did maybe half of what I thought we would today. I'm totally happy with it. We could keep going, but this feels like a good stopping point.
I'm just gonna say, you said we're not gonna do a lot of single person stuff, and then you proceed to do 20 minutes.
And I proceeded to do exactly that. Well, it was only single when she was looking in rooms by herself.
Well, no, then it's also like, the conversation with Gladys and whatnot.
I know.
Go
I'm totally fine with it. I'm just saying I feel good because I don't got to prep for next week. I'm ready.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that will be our first chapter, because honestly, sometimes in these Agatha Christie books, a murder doesn't happen until halfway through it. That won't be this game, but there won't be one tonight. But no, that was So
maybe not next week.
I think what I was bringing up though, Mario, is I was saying in general the rule I won't, but also I'm gonna break the rule sometimes. That's what
It's more of a guideline than a rule.
It's a it's not more of a guideline than a hard rule. Well, that was great.
Prevent any murder from happening at all, so it's just a nice, peaceful weekend. We go home.
Your metagame, you as players, your metagame is prevent murder without knowing anyone's plotting a murder, so that it can just be a chill weekend with no drama. Why doesn't my room have a statue?
And you grab them.
Why do you think you'll see someone fall off a balcony? The murder will have nothing to do with the balcony.
I'm
expecting to see someone
I really hope Sybil isn't in the room when whoever falls off. You know what I mean? Like that's.
You hope she isn't?
Yeah, the trauma, the poor thing. Like, oh my God, all the therapy she'll have to go through for the rest of her life.
Well, maybe if that happens, we'll make a luck roll to see if you sleep through it.
They're either
Don't worry, you have a doctor.
Or they're gonna get brain to death with the statue of the goddess of retribution, which would be quite apropos.
We've got some. This will be some interesting situations here, but I'm very excited about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this start. It is going to be a very sort of slow play, and I think the system so far is working exactly as I thought it would. So I'm happy about that. Yes, and apologies.
I like to spend my 3 aha points to already solve the mystery.
All right, you want to spend 3 aha points to solve a mystery?
I'll be sure if I can.
I'm going to give you 3 aha points to solve really one of the only mysteries. If you give me all 3 aha points, because they will reset, I'm going to solve one of the only mysteries that you have seen so far.
Okay.
Okay. It's called a quick change, and what it is he's has little hooks on his clothes, so when he throws it off, he can sort of step out of it quick.
Oh, that was bothering me so badly.
There you go.
Did Ivan recognize Sybil?
Yes, Ivan would have recognized Sybil, no problem.
Could I tell she knew who, or like recognized me? Could I tell that she was like, didn't quite put it together?
Can he spend his aha points for that?
Can I spend my aha points?
You know what? Since you need to spend some aha points because you're going to reset to 3, I will say Sybil was like, oh, that you don't think Sybil wasn't like that guy. She was like, huh. So you don't think she vaguely remembers you, but you don't think she's put anything together yet.
I look like John Steinbeck. Well, I get that a lot, actually. No relation.
Well, in that case, everyone, well, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited about this game. This is kind of going to be also...
One dead body.
One!
Two
One
dead bodies.
One cadaver. 2 cadaver. 1 severed finger. 2 severed finger.
Oh, God.
1 missing statue.
And the statues.
1 baggie of
actually
heroin
antiques?
laced with fentanyl. 2 baggies of heroin laced with fentanyl.
Wow.
I mean, that's a more
We are
modern one.
going
Sorry.
dark.
In this area, it would just be morphine.
Laudanum.
Laudanum. I hardly know him. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I think this is going to be a slightly more, kind of just like a slow burn, kind of chilled out.
Have you been watching us for the past few weeks? Because we're always a slow burn.
No, I really should.
But you know what?
I feel
I
like
get
we're
it,
either on
Christy.
one end or the other. Like we're
I get
either
it, Christy.
going way
Silent.
too slow, or
But
we're
it
gone somewhere
feels-
he did not expect at all.
It feels like
Yeah.
an Agatha Christie thing, so I'm pretty happy with it. This felt like it could have, elements of it could have been the first chapters of an Agatha Christie thing, so I'm totally on board. So thank you guys so much for indulging me in this weirdness, and I look forward to continuing this next week. Please, if anyone, some of you actually have texted me things you are doing alone in your rooms, so please feel free to do more of that. If you'd like. Also, also about the people being alone thing. Sorry, Mara, I keep you distracted. But the only time she was alone is when she was looking at those other rooms at stuff. Because most of the time she was with a sister.
Oh, you mean like no character was with her?
Yes,
Type of
like
thing. Oh.
what I am going to limit is time that your movements cannot be corroborated by someone else. Because that's a thing that often in the, yeah. So, wonderful stuff. So, that was super fun. And where's the Nemesis statue? Also, why do you have to be up alone on that floor? There's only 3 of you up there, all the other ones. Is it because you're young and the Baroness is old? That actually is, like, the reason. But is it the reason?
The reason or the reason?
Exactly.
It's the reason.
Or should I say, exactly. So yeah, if you like what we do here, please follow our channel. You can also subscribe if you're able to do that. And also thanks again to Apostrophe This for handing out a bunch of gift subs. That was so kind of you to do. We appreciate everyone who's like so into all of these mystery stuff. We've been chatting some in the Dreadlands and some on Discord, and know we have some very active like murder mystery fans. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy what we've got here at Olympus, also called Course Court. Ooh, weird. I do also want to mention once again, let me put our Discord in. Definitely check out our Discord. If you go to the download section in Murder by Murder, we have the floor plans that they were looking at. So you may now look at all the floor plans of the ground, first, second, and third floor. There is not a floor plan of the basement that may come into play based on basemented on some factors. But that may have been /deliberate/time. That may come eventually, but just so you have some sort of some of that information. If you like what this game and want something completely different, watch us on Friday for Blood from a Stone. I don't know what domain we'll be in, and that fills me with that gets my juices flowing. I love it. We'll see. Maybe it'll be Rocket Base. Maybe it'll be Heistales. Maybe it'll be Merkshire again, and Sarah Quill will do more weird stuff. Because this past Friday was out of control. Also out of control, last night's Crude Matter and the Luminous Beings the night before it. Our Star Wars games basically kind of like at its maybe 1 or 2 more sessions for each of those groups. Like, we could really be at the end. And last night, I was talking to Pierce about this today. Last night's game featured the most Star Wars feeling I think that any of these games have had so far. I can't talk about it because Jeremy's here and he's in the other game, but it was the most Star Wars feeling, like okay, like, you know, bump, ba-dum. So anyway, some fun stuff. So check those out. These games are all on 7:30. That's Sunday and Monday for our Star Wars games. Tuesdays for this murder mystery game, and Fridays for Blood from a Stone, our horror game. Thank you so much, players. You are so appreciated, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, I don't have a fucking sign off. It's not elementary, my dear viewer. What's dumb?
Does Hercule Poirot have any sort
little
of
gray cells?
That's
little
not what
gray cells.
He never actually says that, right?
No, don't say
he says
gray.
it.
The exact words, elementary, my dear Watson?
Oh, no, he doesn't say it. Sorry. Hercule Poirot talks about his little gray cells all the time.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about that. I don't know. Until next time. Oh, I got one. Oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot. Hold on. I got one. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, the game is afoot.
That's not bad. Not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah.